Hi everyone, and welcome to your weekly energy update, a general tarot guidance taking a look at how this week's energies are likely to play out in our lives both individually and collectively. First, I'm going to start with the collective expression of these energies, and to be totally honest with you, I really want to get this out of the way, because what these cards say is not a very rosy situation. It's actually pretty grim, to be totally honest, but I really dislike being a messenger of unfavorable news, so I really don't want to focus on this way too much. Well, first of all, we have the Five of Coins clarified by the Ace of Pentacles reversed and the Lovers. From a collective perspective, well, the Five of Coins is very suggestive. It speaks about the disease, the COVID situation, but also a blockage or some kind of chaos hitting the healthcare system collectively. So maybe not in just one part of the world, maybe everywhere simultaneously. And this can be like a huge increase in COVID numbers, but this can also represent certain kind of problems, maybe legal problems. The Lovers can represent the connection between one side and the other, and from a not emotional perspective, that can mean a contract basically. And the Ace of Coins reversed, the contracts, the terms, conditions, etc. changes suddenly and perhaps unexpectedly, but this is where the unexpected part is. Not that we didn't know that this might happen, but rather we didn't think that it would happen, that it would get to that. So it's gonna be pretty chaotic everywhere, especially in the first part of the week. That is gonna be one big moment of tension. But the Lovers again, what we do with it, and we meaning collectively, the people, the citizens, etc., well, that is still remain to be seen, because it's not really set in stone. And at the same time, this Five of Coins energy can also speak about something totally different, or this can represent the situation of immigrants or people who are homeless at this present moment, who are trying to find some kind of security, some kind of safety. Help might be on the way, but there are strings attached, the Lovers. It might not really be unconditional. And last but not least, this is without a shadow of a doubt, this is also very suggestive from an astrological perspective. Your Venus stands across the sky from Uranus, so that means a financial chaos. That means financial instability, collectively speaking. We might see a lot of big companies go bankrupt. We might see problems with banks, banking systems. There might be some kind of sabotage here as well. This can also represent a sudden, dramatic, unexpected change of values, where things like currency, money, and investments, which basically were the most rational thing to invest in, which were basically the norm, which represented almost a guaranteed security, are suddenly, unexpectedly, almost overnight, gonna collapse. And that which is more futuristic, that which is more of a bigger risk, for example, cryptocurrencies and, any other kind of value which had a very big element of uncertainty to them, are gonna skyrocket. They might rise overnight. We might also see the Five of Coins clarified by the Ace of Coins reversed. People, like really influential people, who had a lot of money, who had a lot of riches, investments, etc., are gonna lose a lot. But vice versa, because the Lovers is ultimately the symbol of Gemini, so it goes either way, it goes both ways simultaneously. some people who made like minor investments, or people who invested into something which was at that moment when they made the investment very uncertain, very unclear. It could have gone either way. They might experience a big profit, and this is where some people are going to be catapulted to great wealth overnight. But anyway, the general energy is a huge instability in the markets and finances, banking. Maybe this might be a moment when the world itself will experience a big financial crisis with everything to do with it. So the price of food and fuel and energy and even things which we need for our basic needs might, be very hard to secure at this moment. Now then, with the Six of Coins clarified by the Nine of Cups and the Hangman, the Nine of Cups being reversed, of course, well, this is also very tricky energy, to say the least, because what this is discrimination. Discrimination that will really, let's say, hurt a lot of people, if this makes sense, emotionally and even spiritually, perhaps in the sense that they might not have ever thought that it could ever get to this, like where some kind of discrimination would be tolerated literally. Because as you can see, the Six of Coins is a card of charity, giving, support. But the Nine of Cups with the Hangman, it's someone's nightmare coming true. So for some favored people, it's gonna be a time of charity, of course, where they will receive, or they will be advantaged, they will be given privileges or money or etc. While for other people this will be like a total nightmare. It might not affect people like from a very physical perspective, where the discrimination, whatever this is, it is not going to be something that would affect their physical beings, like material situation, health, everything which has to do basically with down to earth things, but emotionally, perhaps morally, and even spiritually, this will definitely strike a nerve. So there is definitely going to be a lot of unrest. And from a totally different perspective, well, this can actually mean charity, giving, help, support, especially from institutions or even charitable organizations, but there are gonna be strings attached. Or maybe this discrimination is going to be like almost moral, purely moral, where maybe a disadvantaged person will have a lot of help, and an average person who doesn't necessarily need the help, if this makes sense, but ultimately is struggling, he is sacrificing, he is trying hard, will help absolutely no help at all. So there will be a huge difference, as in, one might think to themselves, oh, look, I'm actually coping, I'm trying hard, I'm hanging in there, I'm being strong, I'm being self-sufficient. So is that really a mistake? Because others who are giving in to their weakness, etc., are receiving all this help, things are being made very easy for them. So what's up with this? And last but not least, we have the Three of Coins clarified by the Death and the World reversed. Now this is also a pretty challenging energy, because it means that a lot of people, the Death, will just quit their jobs, they will quit their careers, they will quit their usual livelihoods. So where this will lead us is the World reverse. We might not experience this energy, this expression immediately, as in this week, but maybe in the months that are coming, where there will be a big shortage of workers, a big shortage of professionals, a shortage of people who are going to be in service, who are going to put themselves in service, if this makes sense. And also with the Three of Coins, this will affect smaller businesses, this will affect smaller companies, but at the same time with the world reverse it can even affect big companies, but not immediately. So this is where things will be set that will lead to a big crisis or a big chaos on the employment part of our lives, of the world basically. But what the Seven of Coins clarified by the King of Pentacles and the High Priest represents, well, this is almost like a message, like a reflection from a karmic perspective. And what this Seven of Coins represents, well, that all this financial and material crisis basically is purely a reflection that our collective value systems have to change, want it or not, like it or not. This is the divine pattern, and regardless of what we do to stop it, to prevent it, to basically have a very strong grip on traditions and how things always used to be in our lives, we just can't prevent this. Something that has to do with the old, the traditional, for example, the traditional capitalism, the traditional expression of social equality and the social systems, that which also affects everyone's material well-being. Well, the usual way of doing it, that which basically followed the usual ideals, the traditional ideals, is simply not working because the divine pattern has changed. So like it or not, our physical reality and our collective psychology will one way or another reflect that change. So actually it is an upgrade, but before it can upgrade, before it can turn into like digital, before the new can install itself basically, the old has to fall. So this is almost like a demolition of our value systems, but on the demolished side, something new will be built almost immediately. So we shouldn't really panic, but of course not individually speaking, because we're caught up in this. Of course we fear, of course it is uncertain, of course this affects us. But if we look at it from the big picture, basically what this means for the future of our children, not necessarily us, our generation, but rather future generations, well, this will set the stage for a much, much greater stability, much greater equity and equality. But we're experiencing the downside of this firsthand. We're experiencing the demolishing. But we must also know that something is being designed simultaneously to immediately take its place. And what the cards suggest is that this takes us back to the 30s, where we experienced the Great Depression, where the world was in the same kind of chaos, the same kind of value system demolishing. And look where it led us, especially in the 80s. Things started to get significantly better. So that is the repeating pattern. So even if we cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel right now, we must know that ultimately that is where the pattern is going to lead us. But this process takes time, and this process, the Great Depression is absolutely necessary, even in the repeating of the cycle, where of course it plays out differently, but the essence is the same. The depression is when it kind of changes within us, in our collective psychology, if this makes sense, where collectively we have to release the traditional and embrace the new, whatever that is. Now, from an individual perspective, this might be much more favorable, and I do believe that we will have the better side of the energy, the better spectrum. This Five of Coins is a little bit of trouble for everyone individually as well. For some people, it does represent a financial crisis where they might prepare themselves for harder times. They might become aware that their income, that their material well-being is already compromised. But this is where, for some people, this will not really be that much of a problem, because the Ace of Coins reversed means that deep within them, in their psyches perhaps, something already prepared them for a much more minimalistic lifestyle. So they can let go of certain luxury things, certain unnecessary routines from their lives very, very easily. And this will actually make them way more self-sufficient. For example, like some people will find it quite easy to cut out ordering food. Some people will find it quite liberating not to go out and eat, for example, because they always wanted to be creative in the kitchen, and this will give them such a good opportunity. And at the same time, for some people, this is not really financial, but rather it speaks about their health. And it says that this is one of those weeks where they will be called upon to go and take care of certain health issues. If they had certain symptoms, weaknesses, they felt this way or that way. A lot of people will have like blood tests, or they will visit a specialist. This is where they will be called to go and like really take care of certain problems before things get worse, especially in the healthcare. Other people might even have hospital appointments, doctor appointments planned for this week, and if that is the case, it's really gonna get you far, so go and do it. But ultimately, regardless which the case is, the lovers, it means that help is out there. Maybe someone who truly loves you, like a family member, a parent, a child, a soulmate, a best friend, is already planning to help you out. You don't even need to have the problems yet. They already have made plans to include you in something that they like to share, so prosperity or any kind of taking care of you or expressing their solidarity. For other people, this represents their partners. Regardless of what hardship you may be going through, your partner is already on the case. They already want to help you. They already have plans to support you. And for some very lucky individuals, this actually means a karmic completion, if this makes sense. The Five of Coins, you will become aware that something in your life is going to be quite difficult or scarce, and for the short-term future, like perhaps money issues, or you lost your job, or you lost so many social connections and you feel left out in the cold. Or of course it can be your health, your physical well-being due to stress or any kind of fear problems. You fear or are worried for the future, etc. And exactly when you start getting truly worried and concerned and fearful, someone shows up in your life and the solution will be there. Someone enters your life suddenly without warning and turns everything around. The Ace of Coins reversed. Your normality changes for the better. A saving grace is gonna be there immediately in your life. May that be romance, or may that be simply a person with a lot of benevolence. Now we have the Six of Coins reversed. This might have a strong correlation with the previous card, the Five of Coins, because as I said, the problem is there, the Five of Coins, but the solution is also there, Six of Coins. Someone's goodwill, someone's charitable action, someone's care. But with this Nine of Cups reversed and the Hangman, this is where you have to admit that you're vulnerable. You have to admit that you cannot solve this on your own. You have to admit that you are really gonna get in trouble in the short-term future if you do not accept this help. So put aside your pride, put aside your self-sufficiency, put aside your desire for greater independence and strength, if this makes sense, and accept the help that is going to be offered to you. This might be like, the Nine of Cups reversed. a wish of you coming true, just that you never thought or imagined or envisaged or wished this in this form, as in someone's help or someone's generosity. You might have wanted things to come together for you personally, so you can achieve this independently by your own strength, not having to rely upon everyone. But it is what it is, the hangman. You are vulnerable, so you need to go with the flow, accept as it comes. And even if this help is not purely unconditional, even if it has strings attached, you must take a look at the help itself. It solves the problem. It helps you. So that is what has to matter for the short-term future. And then we have the Three of Coins, clarified by the Death and the World Reverse. This is where some people might quit their jobs, some people might lose out on a little bit of money, or there might be problems at work where it's not you personally, it's the company that might be experiencing difficulties. Or if some people, like especially artists, or those who are freelance, those who have business of their own or project-based work, there might be a lot of unexpected changes taking place, and you will have to adapt to these changes and maybe not give up on your work, not surrender, not be intimidated by the difficulties, complications of problems, maybe legislative problems, maybe if you are relying on some kind of grant or a loan, or maybe you have a startup, so someone has to support you, like government institution, etc., and the money is not going to be delivered on time. Don't give up. Believe in your work, believe in your value, and just hold out, because there will be some help, or there will be some resolution, the world reversed, just maybe not immediately, just with delay. It's still gonna be okay, but with delay. And also, if you have been generally feeling that the work that you invested your time, energy, and effort into in the recent past, last month, the last couple of weeks, this last season, this last summer, and it hasn't paid off yet, well, this is where don't give up hope, because this is the energy of delayed gratification. It will still come to you, it will still reach you, and maybe at the end of the autumn you will see that it will actually pay off handsomely in the most unexpected ways, and maybe much more than you thought. So don't be discouraged, because this is also the meaning of the Seven of Coins. The seeds of intention that you have planted, the effort and work you put into achieving something, nurturing something, where you can see your work as a garden. A garden needs a lot of time, energy, and effort, but ultimately plants have their own unique timing. When they bear the fruits, well, it is not up to anyone. But one thing that you can actually rely upon, if the fruits are on the tree, they're not ripe yet, but they are there, so you know that you will have a harvest. And this is what the King of Pentacles and the High Priest promises you. Your commitment, your effort, that which you have done is already invested, and it will grow. Even if your harvest is a little bit delayed, even if your harvest will not take place, on schedule, don't be discouraged, because that means that you will just have more in the future. Perhaps this is karmic delay. This is where this delay is on purpose, so you can truly enjoy and embrace the bountiful harvest at the moment when it takes place, maybe in the winter or maybe in the beginning of next year. And as divine guidance, this is where we have the Six of Coins and the World card. And this is almost self-explanatory. It is definitely going to be okay. The Six of Coins, again, is the card of generosity, but, in the sense of divine guidance, it means help. It means that the divine is not sleeping. Your guides, or your own unconscious, your own inner power, or your higher self, It's not really asleep, it is working, it is doing something. It is connecting the strings, but this is maybe invisible to you. That's why you might feel a certain kind of frustration, that your work is not valued, that your energy, your time, your effort is not producing the effects it should have, that your harvest is not bountiful, or for some people it's even the extreme case where it's not even there whatsoever, where other people are harvesting right now, one way or another, and you have an empty basket. You might ask, where are your crops? But perhaps for you, it is where you planted certain kind of plants where the harvest is under the ground, like potatoes or root vegetables. So maybe you're not even looking at the right place, because the fruits of your labor are buried under the ground. And the special thing about them is that if that's a karmic energy, that is never ever lost or wasted, because you can dig them up exactly when you need them the most. And under the ground and the soil, it also acts as a protection, as a divine protection, where it won't allow you or anyone else in your life to waste it. It is always safe there. So even if immediately, as in next week, you might have a lot of fears, insecurities, worries, especially about money, especially about your projects or work not being very, how should I say, fruitful, fruit-bearing, or if you lost your job, or if you are just going through a period of financial difficulty, it's not gonna be worst case scenario. It's not gonna lead to doom and gloom or scarcity or poverty. Even if logically things might seem that way right now, the universe promises you not just help, but rather every single effort, every drop of sweat, every tear that you shed for your work, for your efforts, is gonna be paid off justly, fairly. And for other people, it won't even get to that, because as I said, the Six of Coins can represent immediate divine help, and the World card is karma being completed. For some people, this will come immediately as in next week as a person showing up, popping up. It doesn't matter if that person is from the past, present, or someone from the future. They will offer either help, support, or they will just lift your fears. And this is where you have to accept that help. And at the same time, again, don't be sucked into the fear. Don't be discouraged. Don't be frightened. Don't be depressed of whatever is going on in the world out there. Because even if it's like a dichotomy, even if it's like a contradiction, the reality you're fueling, you're living, and what is happening in the world out there, just remember the world change. Just remember the upgrade, the change of the value systems. If you are one of those people who already embodies the new value, where the new value is without a shadow of doubt based on humanitarianism, on simplicity, on morality, on fairness, on equality. If you are embodying this, well, this is where it's already set in stone that what you represent and what you feel inside of you, because value is ultimately a love-based energy. Even its most material expressions, we value it because we love it. We see great power or potential or beauty in it because we love it. So that which you already embody cannot go to waste. It cannot be defeated, because that is the future, Aquarius. So even if you're not doing very well in the present moment, just know that first the old has to be demolished, and only then can the new rise to power, as in bloom, flourish, etc. But either way, with the Six of Coins and the World card, the divine will be with you quite in a palpable way. So pay close attention to what is happening in your life this week. because the problems are gonna be there, of course, but the help from the divine and the guidance and certain positive, helpful event it triggers, or maybe a person it sends your way, is also gonna be there, so you will not be alone. So thank you so much for listening. I do hope that this helped one way or another. If you enjoyed this recording and would like to support my channel and my work, you can donate on the PayPal link in the description below. Thank you again everyone for all the lovely comments, for all the likes and shares. Until next time, bye for now.